Hey, everybody, it's the Combatcast, episode 51, the man they call Dave, with Chevarooney. And we're going to talk about things coming up, things that already happened, and all your fun combat sports. But first, here's a little video. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you, because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
All right, everybody, it's the Combatcast. Chevy, tell me what we got coming up.
All right, June 18th, we're going to be previewing UFC Fight Night Cater versus Emmett. That'll be an early card, a 6 p.m. Eastern card. We're looking forward to that. And June 15th, UFC Fight Night Sarukian versus Gamrot. I skipped over that one last week. And then it'll be July 2nd. That'll be International Fight Week, UFC 276, Adesanya versus Cannonier.
All right, so some good stuff coming up. Let's talk about past week's card, which I saw most fights. I actually missed one. We'll talk about. I think you saw the whole card. So first fight that was on. Anything you want to talk about besides the main card?
Just the Felice Herring, Karolina Kowalkiewicz fight. Karolina got a rear naked choke on Felice. She was super excited because she snapped her 5 fight losing skid that she was on. And, she changed up her camp. She came to America, left her dogs and her husband and everything. And she was training at American Top Team with Joanna and everything. So super happy for her. Unfortunately, that means Felice lost. And she had been coming back from 2 ACL surgeries, and she just wanted to prove to herself that she could come back, and she ended up retiring at the end. So she's ready to move on to something else. So good for her. Yeah,
that was a good fight. I was really happy for her,
Same.
I thought, honestly, it was interesting. I thought Felice was actually landing some harder shots at times, but when Karolina really started to try to put that takedown on there and stuff, it was definitely I thought it was a turning point. And hey, good for Karolina. We'll see where she goes next. What happens?
Yeah.
All right. So Alonzo Menifield, he starts off this card, and I thought he looked good. Not just I was talking last time how he could be very explosive, and that's something I liked about him. He used his wrestling here too, and it was interesting because then they stood up for a minute, they started to trade, and it looked like, I don't want to say he was in trouble, but it looked like for those few seconds like it could be a little more of a back and forth, like maybe we're going to war, and he was like, nah. He went back to his wrestling, and he put it on him, and he got that crucifix position. And once you get that it doesn't always happen, but once they get that crucifix position, unless you're towards the end of the round, you're pretty much done.
Almost always, yeah. I was talking with one of my buddies about that, and once they get that crucifix on, it's panic for guys because it's impossible to defend yourself. So even if you're not getting hit with hard shots, the ref will stop the fight because you can't defend yourself. So that's not what happened in this case. Menifield definitely landed some hard shots. He was punishing Askar for something, I don't even know what, but they were jawing back and forth afterwards. He was all fired up, all upset. So
yeah,
he looked great, and I was glad he got the win.
I also put down a couple of potential opponents for him too. I was thinking Like he's not in the top 15 yet. So I was looking at a couple guys, and I saw like Ryan Spann at number 14. Johnny Walker's actually still number 13, and I thought either one of those fights could be very interesting. And I honestly, especially against Walker, who's 13, no offense to him, but like especially if this Menafield shows up using his wrestling too, like I like a shot there.
Yeah, those are two great fights. That division's so stacked to think about how those guys, Ryan Spann and Johnny Walker, are ranked, all the way down there.
We'll talk more about when we talk about 275, but I was thinking about that this weekend, like with Yuri Prohaska coming in here, and especially if he puts it on Glover, like we think he will, and we love Glover. But I was like, man, it would be interesting. I know he's coming up to heavyweight and all that, but man, like, I gotta be honest, like I can't say like this new crop of light heavyweights that are going to be coming up, like the John Jones is just going to keep walking through them if they had him. I'm not saying he wouldn't either, but I would be if Yuri looks as good as we think he will against Glover, still dominant champion. Like I'd watch that guy fight John Jones to be interested.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going to see John Jones getting back down to 205 for sure. After looking at him recently, I don't think he'd ever make it back down there, but
the point being what you said, it is an interesting division these days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we had Oday Osborne. He said that just like that too. It was after interview with Oday.
Yeah.
But he had a big counter shot, check hook. He looked good as well. I don't know what you want to add. I just thought I wanted to add another opponent for him. Maybe I thought would be interesting. He had talked about Jeff Molina, I think, next. So maybe that's a fight that will make sense, because flyweights are so well-rounded that, it would be, like I was looking at a guy, like I think like Tim Elliott, who's like number 11, he's actually close to top 10. And I'm like, man, I like O'Day's explosive, but I have no idea how he would do with somebody so well-rounded. Like, like Tim Elliott's number 11, and that guy's a complete fighter.
Yeah, absolutely. At that division, you absolutely have to be. You have to be good at everything. You have to have great cardio.
Yeah.
It's such a tough division. I think we need to see him against higher level talent before we can really know where he's at.
Yeah.
I didn't like was his post-fight interview was as long as his fight was, though. A little bit less on the mic, my guy.
Yeah.
I'm a fan, though. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like the style. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, he's excitable. And then we had women's flyweight, Corrine Silva. I know you're happy about this because she used a Darce choke to beat Poliana Botella. I mean, love the Darce choke. I was looking at like top 15 opponents for her too, and I had number 15 was actually Raquel Pennington, and I'm like, well, I don't know, that's a tough matchup too.
Yeah, this girl, she's a finisher though, right? She has like 100% finish rate, and most of them are in the first round. So she didn't go out and rush this one. She finished Poliana with 5 seconds left in the first round, I think it was. It was like 5 or 8 seconds left or something. Yeah. But it was late. She didn't rush it. So she looked good. She looked good on the feet. Obviously, she snatched that Darce up quick. And yeah, like you said, I always love to see those. So
we'll talk about this later too with Herrig, like with Santos fighting her too. Like Santos, I was looking at her record. Like she's a banger. And obviously, I mean, these women are going to be outmatched against Schievenko, Valentina, but like a person like Silva, you're probably going to need somebody who has those kind of power punches to have even a shot. So
they need to be able to get her respect for sure.
Yeah, right. And just to follow up on that too, and obviously we're not saying that she's ready for Valentina, but she does have 11 first round finishes now. So,
right.
Pretty impressive.
Amanda Nunes could knock out Valentina, so you need to be able to hit really hard to get her respect.
Yeah. Then I believe next was Lucas Almeida. He defeated Mike Trezano, TKO round 3, featherweight fight. I think this was fight of the night as well. What were your thoughts on this fight?
I thought Trezano was looking really good. He clipped Almeida early, and he was looking good, and then he just ended up getting clipped from some wild punches. Stepped into a big hook, and he ended up getting stopped. So, and I think it was a 3rd round stop, but
Yeah.
I don't think either fighter's stock goes down too much with this one. Like you said, it was fight of the night. It was a good back and forth fight. So hopefully he comes back and gets a win in his next one.
Do you think Lucas Almeida is ready for a top 15? I'm looking at this 15 is Tapori and 14 is Shane Burgos.
I know that he had some heat with Taporio, right? So
a lot of people seem to.
yeah. I think Dana's going to want to push him along a little bit because he has such an exciting style and a great record. So
yeah,
I think you're going to see him get a good push.
I like these two, and then you look at guys like Patty Pimblett right there too, right? And it's like I hope they keep kind of letting some of these guys grow a little bit too.
Yeah.
So, then we had say this right, Mosavar Evolve. He defeated Dan Eagle. Actually, this was a fight I didn't see. I was out for this one. So
this one happened exactly as I said it was going to happen. Movsar beat Dan Ige up for 5 rounds, and we all felt bad for him at the end.
Yeah, so he wrestled.
He beat Ige everywhere.
Oh, okay.
On the feet, on the ground. He did whatever he wanted the entire fight. Dan looked pretty frustrated. I don't want to say helpless, but he just didn't have an answer for Mosvar, and I don't think too many people are. I think he's a problem for the division going forward for sure. I think this is a 6th straight win in the UFC. Mm-hmm. He's undefeated in the UFC, so you're going to see him against a top 5 guy next for sure.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, well, he's ranked number 13 now, and just even the 2 guys. Well, I don't know about today. When they were going into this, he was ranked 13, so he might even be higher now. But number 12 at the time was Edson Barboza, and number 11 was like Sodiq Youssef. So again, this division is just so stacked too. So I'm kind of, even if you put him against some of these guys, I know it's not top 5, but I mean, some good fights out here.
Yeah, everyone seems to be pretty well paired up near the top 2. I know Bryce Mitchell's looking for a fight.
Yeah.
I know he's searching a fight with Korean Zombie. So winner of that one, maybe. I don't know. Or, maybe that fight doesn't get put together and Mosvar he fights one of them instead. But the division is super stacked. It's amazing time for featherweight.
Yeah, I mean, again, you got guys at the top. It's like, Holloway, Ortega, Yair, the champ. It's just like the Korean Zombie who's still going at it too. I mean, they're all just.
He says he wants one more fight.
Is that yeah?
Yeah. So,
I mean, he's still a top-notch guy. He's not going to beat Holloway or Volkanovski, but you know what I mean. Like he's still the champ. So main event, Volkov versus Rosenstruck. Volkov gets the win. Thought it was an early stoppage, and it's interesting because like I was throwing you down like names and stuff for the winners here, and it's like with Volkov, it's like he's kind of lost to everybody above him. Yep. I don't know what you do with him next. Like I almost said, like this is a guy like when I talk about people who might benefit from leaving, I know he's a former Bellator champion. Like he might actually do better off in a Bellator or a PFL. Like because I feel like he's still pretty good, but he's lost key matchups, unfortunately.
Yeah, he might be not permanently, but as of right now, I think he's stuck in that gatekeeper kind of role.
He needs a rematch.
He's probably going to need a few to string together a few wins to get another, shot at the top guys. So, I'm not sure. I'm excited to see him against anyone, really. That division is starting to come alive as well. It was pretty stagnant for a while, a couple of years ago, but some young guys in there with Tal Aspinall and Tai Tuivasa and all that is getting exciting again. So I thought he looked great. I didn't personally think the stoppage was too early. He was still there. I listened to Brennan Schaub's show, and he was talking about how Rosenstruck turned his back when he was coming off the cage there. And if you do that, it's akin to tapping in a grappling scenario. So it kind of makes sense. He was talking about how it saves him from getting that Ronda Rousey head kick that she took, that kind of scenario where you turn away and you get head kicked from behind. So I didn't think the stoppage was that bad. Yeah, he wasn't out, but he was in trouble. I mean, his mouthpiece was sent flying across the octagon, and he was continuing to take punches after that. So he was in trouble no matter what.
And we had a little bit of boxing this weekend too, correct?
Yeah, Devin Haney flew all the way to Australia to take all of the belts off of George Campos Jr. So I think there's a rematch clause, but I'm not sure when that rematch will happen. But it's nice to see Devin Haney. He's an American. He's 23 years old, and he has all those belts. I don't know the weight classes for boxing, so I'm not sure what weight class it is, but good on him. I know that this means people will be calling him out like Lomachenko. Like Lomachenko used to have all those belts, and then Teofimo Lopez took them from him, and then Campos took them from Teofimo. So any of those guys could be against Haney next.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you have a guy that young conquering his sport. It makes me kind of wonder what the future will be for him too. Keep moving up in weight classes, maybe. I think that's probably most likely. I like the idea, of we don't see it because the money isn't the same, but I like the idea of a super skilled boxer maybe trying to get into MMA, but embracing it and stuff too. I'd be really interested. I think the problem is probably right, especially those lighter weight classes, that it's hard to become so well-rounded at everything else.
You have to be so well-rounded. Like heavyweight is the only division I feel like you could get away with it. I mean, look at Clarissa Shields. She's probably the best example of that. Super skilled boxer coming over. They're setting her up with tomato cans basically, and she lost one and really should have lost the first one as well. But it's just tough. It's just you don't have enough time to develop the skills required for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody can be a Holly Holm.
Right.
Yeah. Well, all right, let's talk about the pay-per-view this weekend. First fight on the main card. Yeah, I'm going to struggle with these first couple fights here. Jack Della Maddalena. Sure. He's 11-2. He's got 9 KOs, 1 submission, 1 decision. So he's only been at a decision 1 time. He lost his first 2 fights too. He's won 11 in a row, and this is his second UFC fight. And he's taken Ramazan Ameev, who's 20-5, 3 KOs, 7 submissions, 10 decisions, and he's a former M1 Global middleweight champion. All right, and this is at welterweight. I'm a little more familiar with Ramazan, but I like this. What I love about this record, we talked about this too, is the fact that this guy lost his first 2 fights and is now won 11 in a row.
Yep.
And pretty much all but 1 have been finishes. So I like him. I'm going to go with Jack Della Maddalena. I better learn his name. But yeah, I like him.
Yeah, I'm going with Jack also. I'm going to say second round finish. He's going to KO him. Hopefully, if not, we're going to get a boring wrestling match that goes to decision. But
I'm going to be positive. I'm going to agree with you on that too, by the way. Second round. Yeah. Then we got a flyweight fight. Not as familiar with these guys either, although I feel like I've seen them around. I know the names a little more. That doesn't mean I'm going to be able to say it. Rogerio Bontorin, who's 16-4-2. He's got 3 KOs, 11 subs, and 2 decisions. Manuel Cape, who's 17-6, 11 KOs, 5 subs, 1 decision, and has had a lot of finishes at flyweight. He's also a former risen bantamweight champion as well. I like Manuel in this.
I'm gonna go with Rogerio just because I believe he's lost 3 of his last 4, and he had a no decision in there or no contest in there as well. So he is most certainly fighting for his job in the UFC. I'm going to go with him via sub in the second round.
All right, I'll take Cape, and I'll match you with that second round submission. All right, and then, all right, now we're gonna step it up here a little bit here. All right, Weili Zhang, 21-3, 10 KOs, 7 subs, 4 decisions, former strawweight champion. She's the first ever Chinese champion in UFC history. She's had fight of the night against Jacek. It's the fight of the century. It's one of the greatest fights of all time. We're getting a rematch here.
Absolutely the greatest women's fight of all time.
Period.
Maybe the best fight UFC fight.
Competition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Performance of the night against Jessica Andrade. That's who she won the title off of. And Andrade is a finisher, and she finished Andrade in the first round. And then obviously Helena Jacek, who's 16-4. So just about Jacek is she's only got 4 KOs and 1 sub. She's not necessarily the finisher you think she would. She has 11 decisions, but like she's a volume puncher, and
she punishes girls. That's what she does. She doesn't finish them. She beats them up for 5 rounds.
Yeah, and I arguably won the first fight between these two. Arguably, close fight.
It was very, very close.
Yeah, she's had 5 successful. She's tied with Amanda Nunes for most title fights in UFC women's divisions. She's the first Polish-born champion in UFC history. Performance of the night 1 time. Fight of the night 3 times. Most win in UFC women's strawweight history. Highest significant strike differential in UFC championship history. That was also against Andrade. Andrade has not fared well against these 2 women.
She just walked into everything Joanna gave her. Yeah.
Yeah. And Andrade is one of the best to do it. So this should be an amazing fight. Will we get a finish? It's only 3 rounds, right?
3 rounds.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference. So it's going to be interesting to see what Jacek looks like after the long layoff, too.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, let's go either way. I'm going to go with Weili based on that layoff because it's tough sometimes to take that layoff and come back. And, you see her, she's been on Instagram and, she's going to all these different places having fun. That's great. And you need to do some of that. But man, when you're going up against these beasts, like I'd like to see a little more photos. And maybe we don't know, but I can't base that on what I don't know. So based on what I know, I'm going to go with Weili. I'll say she even gets the finish. I'll go round 3.
Joanna used to post a lot of training footage and all that, and like you said, yeah, she's just posting, her on a different beach around the world. I feel like all the time. So I mean, do whatever you want, but it does. I mean, obviously, social media is not everything, but it certainly seems like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. What has she added to her game since the last fight? Because we know Weili has been working with Cejudo and added wrestling to her game. In 3 rounds, between the new edition of wrestling and the fact that it's 3 rounds, I think those are going to be the 2 biggest factors in the difference between the first fight and this one. I think arguably, like you said, Joanna could have won that first fight, but the fact that her head got so swollen, I think that sways the judges. Obviously, she took the most damage. I don't see that happening this time again or ever again, ever. So it's a tough fight to call. I'm gonna agree with you though. I'm gonna go with Weili based on the wrestling. I think just the threat of the takedown is gonna allow her to land her strikes a little bit more and keep Joanna backing up. Plus, she hasn't been in there in 2 years, and she might, be on her way out. So I'm going to go with Weili. I think it's going to be a decision again, though, because Joanna is still Joanna, and she's super tough.
Yeah. Yeah, she's only been finished 1 time that I can think of, because that's the Rose fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I may be going out on a limb and saying it's a 3 round. But I guess here's the thing, too. Even if Joanna is the fighter of old, it's the 3 round thing. Like, Joanna sometimes is a little bit of a slow starter. She figures you out. And then, like round 4 or 5, she's putting it on you. And it's kind of
she gets better. Yeah.
Yeah. So without having those extra 2 rounds, I kind of makes me favor Weili if this goes to like a decision too.
And Weili is a fast starter. She'll come out the first round just 100% everything. So
yeah. So stylistically, it's tough. I would
could be fight of the night though. Again.
Yeah, I almost wish that for to Jay check that this was a 5-rounder main event on a fight night or something, just because I like to see you get that opportunity. But I'm happy we got it on this card.
Yeah.
Then we got Valentina Schievenko defending the women's flyweight title. Man, this woman, 22-3, 8 KOs, 7 subs, 7 decisions. Like, what a well-rounded record. Equal decisions, equal subs, and then one more extra KO. It's all, she can beat you in so many ways. Women's flyweight champion, 6 successful title defenses. Performance of the night 3 times, most wins in UFC women's flyweight division history, most consecutive wins in UFC women's flyweight division. I mean, she's just got so many records here. Her opponent, Talia Santos, is 19-1, 10 KOs, 3 subs, 6 decisions. Performance of the night, 1 time against Joanna Wood, and she was a Aspera Fighting Championship at bantamweight 1 time. So I don't know. I mean, she's got some power looking at some of the fights I've seen her with, but man, at the end of the day, I don't know. I just don't see anybody beating Valentina. I think Valentina will get the finish too. I'll go round 3, probably crucifix her and just puts her out.
Yeah. So I would put Valentina on the same level as Nunes in terms of greatness or whatever. So if we look at Nunes and obviously she lost her belt, the difference is Valentina, I think, is just a true martial artist. She is always looking to improve her attitude. She doesn't really believe the hype in her greatness. She just wants to go out and do her best and improve every fight. So I think that is what that humbleness is what's going to keep her champ for a long time. So I don't see Santos bringing anything that Valentina has never seen in an octagon or in a kickboxing fight. So I think you're just going to see her put it on her. The problem I see is how's she going to finish the fight, because she's so well-rounded. Like you said, it really could go any way. I think Santos is going to fade later in the fight. This will be 5 rounds because it's a title fight. So I think Valentina is going to beat her up on the feet, rock her, and then sub her with an arm bar or something.
Mm-hmm. All right. What's up in the comments?
I'll say round 4 sub.
Round 4. I like it. All right, let's get to it. Main event time. Right. Just to answer Ray's question. Does Anna win? We were just talking about this. We don't think so. You have to go back and watch it, Ray. We got to get to the main event. Ray, we got Glover Teixeira defending the light heavyweight championship. 33-7, 18 KOs, 10 submissions, 5 decisions. Glover's got the most finishes in light heavyweight division, most submissions in light heavyweight division. The guy's a stud. He's a Hall of Famer. But boy, this Yuri Prochazka kid, who's younger, 28-3-1, 25 KOs, 2 submissions, and 1 decision. Performance of the night against Altamir and Reyes. Fight of the night against Dominic Reyes, former Ryzen light heavyweight champion too. Yeah, he's got a lot of momentum. He's a fight. If you look at his record too, he's gotten better as time goes on. Reddy wants to know, does Glover's reign end? So we're going to answer that right here. And I believe it does. I love Glover, but I'm going to say Yuri takes him out. I wouldn't be shocked if Yuri got him out in the first round too. Glover takes punishment in those early rounds sometimes. And the key to Glover is he can survive. Now, if Glover can survive the early storm here, I'm not picking him still because I think Prochazka is such a great fighter. But I could see this going a few rounds. So based on Glover's ability to take punishment, I'm going to say Prochazka's still going to get this finish. I'm going to go with TKO round 3.
So I've been saying Yuri is going to be champ since the night, maybe even before Glover won the belt off of Jan. Find myself reconsidering as of late a little bit. Feels a bit disrespectful to Glover. Just a vet, in every sense of the word, for sure.
I mean, so not to discredit Glover, and I will be surprised if Glover gets his victory, but we've counted him out before,
right.
So it's not like I'm going to say this is like the greatest upset in the history of MMA if Glover gets this win. It's just, gun to my head, I think this younger guy who's got a ton of finishes and is constantly improving is probably going to be the favorite here. That being said, my heart's with Glover. I hope I'm wrong. And that's no offense against Yuri either. I just want this ride to go a little bit longer with Glover. So, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so Yuri is all fire and piss and vinegar and enthusiasm. And Glover is all heart and determination and experience. And I think in a matchup between those intangibles, I would edge it towards Glover. But and I agree with you. I'd like to see him stay champ for a little bit longer, even though I am such a huge Yuri fan. But I think the fact that Glover's defense is so weak on the feet, he keeps his head on the center line to get hit all the time. And Yuri's so accurate and so explosive with knees and elbows and everything. I think he's just going to rock him early and finish him early. But like you said, if Glover gets rocked and gets the fight to the ground, that evens out the odds a lot. But I'm going to go with Yuri first round knockout. Something spectacular, probably.
Yeah, I could see that. It's one of those things where I could see it ending in the first round. But if Glover can survive, I could see Glover taking this late in the fight too.
Right. Yeah. I'll be happy and I'll be sad no matter who wins.
Yeah, and Yuri's been nothing but respectful to Glover. He's super excited.
As he should be.
Yeah. So, he was, when Glover won the belt, he was calling him a legend and how excited he was. And Glover was next to him, and Glover kept saying, "You're next, right?" And going in front of the way. And he's like, yeah. He was all about Glover though. He didn't want to talk about that. He was super respectful. So yeah, I'm excited, and I'll be happy for whoever wins and sad for whoever loses on this one. So it should be a fun card. Expecting a lot of knockouts, a lot of finishes, I think, based on our predictions. But we will see. So why don't we tell them what we got coming up one more time?
All right, June 18th, we're going to be previewing UFC Fight Night Cater versus Emmett. June 25th, we'll be previewing UFC Fight Night Sarukian versus Gamrot. And then July 2nd, that'll be International Fight Week. We will preview UFC 276 Adesanya versus Cannonier.
All right, some exciting fights coming up. But it's all about UFC 275 this weekend. We'll see how our predictions do. I threw a lot of first round finishes last week. I couldn't believe that shit was happening. I'm like, oh shit, I was right.
It was a good card. Yeah, it was a good card.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. We'll be back next week. Some more combat sports. Hopefully UFC 275 is a banger. And we'll see you around. Talk some combat sports. Peace, guys.